Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel, and if you're new here then welcome. If you like this video, as always, please do like and subscribe, and thank you to everybody that has done so far. I really appreciate it. It's really helping the channel out. As always, if you've got any comments or things that you'd like to see in the next videos or any questions, then feel free to put them below. I will answer them and start trying to do things with your comments in YouTube videos. Obviously I am a little bit slow because I do everything weeks in advance, but I will get round to doing them. So straight into this piece. This piece is acrylic paint on toned paper, which as usual I'll have listed below. It's just my usual cheap and cheerful paints on my toned paper. And I started this particular piece because of a TV series on Netflix. It was narrated by David Attenborough. It was Our World or Our Planet. I'll have the correct title below. And it really resonated with me. So this TV series was all about the effects that humans are having on our planet, from things like global warming to overfishing to cutting down too many trees and replacing them with the wrong sort of trees and things like this. And all of it having such a negative impact on the world. Now, there was some positive notes in it about proving how quickly the natural world can snap back if we can start doing things to prevent it, but there was a lot of wake-up calls in there for me. And in all honesty, it's not something, I mean, obviously we hear about global warming all the time and climate change and all of this, but it's not something I actively ever thought about. And yet I got really engrossed into this series. I would watch it on my way to work and on my way home, and I'd constantly be thinking about it and realizing how little I actually do to think about the environment and how wasteful that I can be. And so I decided that I really wanted to, one, start changing the things that I do, and two, start a series of paintings that can start highlighting the effects that we're having to these animals and the fact that so many of our animals are becoming endangered and all but extinct in some cases because of the actions that we are doing. So I'd actually already done one piece of a rhino, which was a few months back, which I'll have the exact date below because I forgot to write it down. But that was actually based on a piece that my sister said that I should do. She had told me that white rhinos were all but extinct or are pretty much now because the last male had died a couple of years back. This might be slightly wrong, I can't remember if I'm remembering this correctly, but that's basically the gist of what was said. And I was really like, oh my god, I can't believe this. And Heather's like, well, yeah, you should probably paint one, seeing as, you know, you're not really going to be seeing them anymore. And at the time, I didn't really think much more on it. I thought, you know what, it's a good painting to do. I'm going to do that, and I'm going to do the whole horn kind of half like coming off with my roses coming out of it to show that, you know, these creatures are gone because of the fact that they're being hunted for their horns, which is atrocious. But I really didn't think that deep into it. But this TV series that David Attenborough narrated really got me thinking back to that piece and thinking, actually, you know what? I should have been thinking more like this when my sister told me about this animal and what had happened to it. And so I thought for the first piece, well, technically the second piece I'll do in this series, I wanted it to be an elephant because, again, elephants are hunted for their ivory, and not just that, but the effects that global warming's having to their environment and the struggle they have to find water, especially now, that's having a big impact on them. So I thought that would be a good one to do. And I wanted to do it in a similar colour palette to show that these two pieces kind of go together. And I also did the ivory being half detached from the elephant, again with my roses, to again signify the fact that, you know, this ivory belongs to them, why are we taking it away from them? So yeah, that's why I am doing this piece, and I will be starting a series of this, which I am hoping that eventually, I mean, it's going to take a while, but eventually when I manage to make this into a bit more of a steady income, What I would love to be able to do is do like a charity auction for a couple of my pieces, and all the money raised of them to be able to then put towards a charity that's combating the effects that we've had on our planet. That's something that I'd be really interested in doing. Obviously, I mean, all of this is way in the future because I need to be a bit more stable income before I can do a lot of this stuff. But that's definitely something I am thinking about doing. On a brighter note, while I was doing this piece, because I was doing it so that it went with the rhino and I was doing such a similar colour palette to everything and similar composition, I thought it'd be really interesting to see how far I've progressed from when I originally did the rhino to now. Because the rhino was the first piece I did in acrylic paint in quite a few years. Prior to acrylic paint, I was actually mainly using soft pastel, which I've mentioned a few times, and I really did enjoy it, especially for doing portraits, which I know I don't normally do anymore unless it's a commission basis, but I found them so much more easier to be able to blend a skin tone than what I could with paint, mainly because acrylic paint would dry so quickly. So I swapped from acrylic paint to soft pastels back when I was doing a lot more portraits, and I did find it helped a lot because I liked the fact that I could layer them really nicely, build up the shadows, and then go over the top in colour pencil to do all those finer little details. And it worked. I really enjoyed it. However, I then started doing watercolour in my sketchbook, and I noticed the vibrancy of the pieces and how much I missed it, because as much as soft pastel are great and they have great depth of tone, they aren't the most vibrant pieces because it is more of a dry media. And I always think, you know, paint kind of reflects the light a little bit better and the colours are just a little bit more opaque, and so all of it just makes it seem that little bit more vibrant, which I really loved. And there was the brilliant upside of being able to close a sketchbook and not have it smudge and get all over the place, so I could actually start using a sketchbook again rather than just pieces of paper that then had to be sprayed with fixative, and 9 times out of 10 would still smudge no matter what fixative I tried using. So it was just that the ease of that made me want to try it, and so I started trying it on this piece. But I actually began my technique very similar to soft pastel in the sense that I layered my acrylic paint and then I went over the top with Posca paint markers, which is how the rhino piece is, which is going to be at the end of this video where you'll see them next to each other. And I've actually improved a lot since then. So when I was doing this piece, obviously I haven't used any Posca markers as you'll see in this, and I do a lot more detailing and layering of paints. But that's because I now have really tiny brushes which help with doing all those little details like the creases in the skin and all the leaves and stuff. So that really helps. But I also think my composition has improved because like where the roses and that are coming out of the tusk, the rhino one was a bit more all over the place, a bit more spread out. It wasn't as nice and yeah, just visually appealing as what I personally think the elephant one is. Now, part of this comes at a point because obviously in the previous video I had actually used paint and just done a base layer and then done acrylic, the Posca paint markers over the top. And so I was very pleased that I then, for this piece, focused on what I was doing. I felt that after finishing the cat piece that I had just gone backwards, that I wasn't improving, and I think everyone finds that occasionally. So it was really nice to actually see, you know what, I have improved. My techniques have improved. And my standards of what is now finished work has improved. It's just sometimes I need to remind myself and keep myself motivated to actually do it. And I think this piece, I was able to do that because I have such an emotional connection to it, because of the message that I'm trying to convey, which I just didn't really have for the Speak No Evil cat. As much as I love the concept of it, it wasn't something that I could go, yes, I really feel an emotional connection to this. So I think that makes a big difference. Personally, for me, that's what makes a difference of me being able to enjoy and finish my artwork. Anyway, I've just noticed this voice note has been going on for a while, so I'm actually going to have to start wrapping up. But basically, look back at your work, compare the two if you're ever getting to that point of feeling like you're not doing that well, and realize you have improved, and that it's okay if you have a couple of days where it's not amazing. Everybody goes through it. But yeah, anyway, thank you for listening, and if you're interested in prints or anything else, the link to my Etsy shop is below, and have a lovely day.